Okay, here we go.
It is.
Now we're going. It's a fun Zoom info is you cannot live stream when you're sharing your slides. And so now we are live streaming.
That's interesting.
I know. Fun little tidbit. Okay, we're gonna get this meeting started. Bo, are you ready and unmuted?
I am unmuted. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, welcome everyone. So June 24th, 2025, we've got our team meeting up. We've got everybody here. We'll say this, all of our friends and fellow great agents in KW Realty Consultants in Southern Indiana have a guest speaker today from the region, Ann McKissick, and they are not on. So not sure why they want to sit and hang out with Anna when they got a chance to sit and hang out with us, but we're gonna let that go. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and dive in. We've got a speaker about 15 minutes in that we're gonna bring in. So right now, bucket fills. If you wanna talk about those in the room yourself, you can. It's completely up to you.
I'm filling Pam's bucket.
What about that?
I need to
Yeah.
know everybody else's.
Elected,
What room is he in and go for it?
board member
Yeah.
elected. Elected.
Yeah. Yes, Pam Reckregal was elected. What was the official title?
Commander-in-chief of the entire board.
Yes.
There you go. That's a huge deal for our broker to be able to represent at that level. Congrats, Pam. So excited about that.
The Czar of Glar.
Yes.
That's her name. That's what it is.
That's good.
That shirt's on the way. Yep. What else we got? Got some other bucket fills? Are you guys filling in the room? Are we on mute? What's going on, Christian Brockett?
Y'all, anybody have any bucket fills? They're looking right at us. What you got?
No, they're looking at you.
Bucket fills, bucket fills, bucket fills? We don't have any people that are. Oh, wait, Alex, here we go, here we go. Alex says Peyton is awesome and great.
That is true. Peyton Orick, tech extraordinaire and all things extraordinaire. What about Commonwealth? Who has a bucket fill in Commonwealth? You guys are muted, by the way.
Hey, I've got a bucket fill while they're unmuting. Can I jump in?
Sure.
She's been helping me out, showing me the books, learning from the beds, so I'm very thankful.
Can you repeat that, Haley?
Justin said his bucket fill is Kelly. She's been
Oh.
showing the first couple weeks.
Yeah, Kelly's amazing.
I've got a bucket fill. I'm going back to my home market center and in Commonwealth, and I want to fill Justin's bucket. Because I tell you what, he's come in, he's hit the ground running, he's extremely humble, he's very coachable, and he is connected with the agents at a high level, and I really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. All right, is that it?
I think that's it. All right, let's do our cultural moment.
This is how it's gonna go. All right, so quick cultural moment. I just want to thank everybody that participated in every way with our agent in Lexington, Patrick and his family. Guys, we raised $5,500 just from drawings and people reaching into their pocket and everything else like that to help him out. He's actually getting better. He has been moved into a different facility and is starting to make some big strides with regards to his recovery. We've completed the application for KW Cares, which is another cultural piece, right? Sometimes we're not sure what that's all about and how it shows up. So we've raised the first $5,500, and now there's a grant for an additional $30,000 for his family. Not the first time one of our agents has been touched by KW Cares and what they do. So, you know, when you find yourself turning in those deals and you're doing your opportunity, you got a chance to drop in a couple bucks, you know, $2, $5, you got to think about the number of transactions that we do as a company and what a couple bucks per transaction will do for these folks that, you know, might find themselves in a place of need. But guys, as you hear people say our culture in action, what we've been able to do, and you have been able to do in these 4 offices since Patrick basically got really sick. That's our culture in action. So I just appreciate everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bo,
Okay,
stand,
so
hey, Bo, if you can stand near the mic, because we're not able to hear you super well in the other offices.
okay.
All right.
Can
I
you
don't know
hear
if
me now?
we can hear you. Yep.
See it, right? Okay, so we've been pulling some pages out of Gary's notepad, talking a little bit about his thoughts, right? So I'm going to take a minute and actually read this one here. It's one of the latest ones that we got. So here's what he basically said. He's got it under the heading of determination. So I'm lying here and wondering how I'll get through this next chapter in my life. Not that I have doubts, but I do feel unsettled. Things do feel different in a way I can't quite find the words for. The world feels unsteady. The market feels questionable. Times simply feel harder. Well, now I'm awake and my thoughts are racing with shades of skepticism. As these thoughts try to find a landing place, I'm reminded of something: resolve. As I reflect, I know I've been in difficult times before. And I know I've eventually come out of each of them sturdier and stronger. But I wonder why. And then it dawns on me. I have an inner fire that burns. A force that keeps me moving forward when the world says stop. I remember that it's not about having all the answers or never feeling doubt, but about making a decision to keep going. Guys, that last one, keep going. If you take one thing away from the meeting today, here's what I'm going to tell you. Keep going. Every single one of you is built for it. You're absolutely built for whatever comes next. No matter what, when I've tapped into my deepest why, my purpose becomes my power. Every challenge simply becomes a stepping stone. Every setback, a lesson. My fears turn into fuel, and all obstacles, when flipped, turn into problems to solve and opportunities to take advantage of. I remember this: the only thing that stands between me and my dreams is the story I tell myself. The journey I accept as destiny will only happen when I choose courage. And here's where I end up. I remember that when I choose determination, I'm choosing self-determination. That's what I've done before and what I will do now. My life will change in direct proportion to what I'm willing to do to make it change. That's a commitment I can make and keep. My mind calms back down and I drift back into sleep. When I choose determination, my life moves forward no matter what. There's a lot of good words there. There's a lot of deep thoughts there. Anybody want to shout out and share what they came away with after reading along on that? Or listening to the screen?
I think Lexington hurt you with that.
Tammy said the market's hard right now. You better buckle up and get to work.
Buckle up and get to work. I like that. Yeah. And you know what? I can tell you this. You know, the market, it is a little harder than it's been. And yet, if you speak to some of the folks that have been in the game a while, they can probably tell you a story about a time when the market was just like it is now.
Gather around, kids.
Yeah, my takeaway, and I had someone on a coaching call ask me about this yesterday. She does over $1 million in GCI, somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million. And she said, what is the consensus? Like, is the market tougher? We're finding it to be tougher. And I said, it may be a little tougher, and yet the people that are going to win in any market are the ones that are committed to their goals no matter what. And she's like, yep, we're willing to do whatever it takes, which means we may have to call more people, do more open houses, whatever that looks like. So, you know, to Gary's point, if we focus on what we can control in any situation, right, that changes your power. And so I love that he just says, you know, he just talks about his purpose becomes his power, and he makes commitments that he can keep. And resolve is underlined, determination, no matter what. That's the thinking of a high performer. And it shows up, doesn't just show up in business, it shows up everywhere. Something Diana used to say a lot is, how you show up here is how you show up everywhere. And we see patterns, right, in people's thinking. And I'll share this quick, and I think it's okay to share, but if you guys didn't know, Gary's wife has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And he shares that in mastermind rooms. He shared it in a training I was in, and he talks about specifically understanding what he can control. And he was laughing because, you know, he has his wife, he's done all the studies now on how to help keep that from progressing. And so she gets up every day and she has to do all these mental exercises, and she's been doing it for about 18 months. And he was laughing and he said she hates it. She's so frustrated and she fights me every day. And then she'll look at me and say, Gary, is it working? And his response was, well, you've not gotten any worse. Your condition hasn't changed since we've been doing the work we need to do to keep it steady. So there's real things happening in Gary's life, right? Just like they're happening in yours. And yet it was really interesting to see how he showed up in that is how Gary showed up during the NAR settlement. It's how Gary has shown up for all of us. And he's consistent. So it's pretty cool. I think it shows up the same for people in all areas of their life. It just kind of becomes who you are at some level. So yeah. It's good stuff. Anybody else have any takeaways on this one? Our guest is here, so I want to get Kristen Brockett's going to introduce her, but any other takeaways on this before we jump in?
I'll say for here in the room, we talked, 3 years ago about the shift coming. And I think a lot of people thought it was going to be 6 months and then get back to normal. And Gary talked about like the kind of the false recovery of Q3 2023, where we saw everything pick back up, and there's a blind optimism.
We may look back, we may look back. Yeah, we might look back and think the day we were headed, when we just started heading into it. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have at some point, they'll put the starting point on, right? I don't know when it really started. Right.
So I heard Jimmy talking about the shift, that people thought it would be shorter, and it's just starting, or it's taking a little bit longer.
It started a while ago, but it really is just now starting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. Okay. Well, Kristen Brockett, I see Susan on here, and she is our special featured guest. So I wanted to let's get a good intro for her and dive in.
Thank you. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. I want to quickly introduce you to our market centers. We have currently 3 market centers on with us today. Another one had another guest today, so they weren't able to join us, but they'll catch this later. So Susan Lombardo, she is the CEO and founder of the Lombardo Home Group. She's been with KW since January 2018. And her last year as a solo agent was in 2023, where she closed 40 million in volume. In 2024, she began building a full team and went from a solo agent with 2 admins to a full team of 7. This year is her first as an official group, and they are trending towards 50+ million in volume. She's been on multiple family reunion panels, was quoted in Jay Papasan's newest book, The Rookie Real Estate Agent. She just appeared on Jason Abrams' MREA podcast last month and had the distinct honor of being interviewed by Gary Keller himself on a solo interview on stage at Mega Agent Camp in 2024. Susan, we could not be more excited. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We appreciate you being here. Well, let's jump in. Tell us how you've done this. Tell us a little bit about your success, how you got here, and what it is specifically that's catapulting you to build the business that you've built.
All right. First, thank you all very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of all of you. But the primary basis and springboard for my business when I started as a new agent is geographical neighborhood farming. That is what all the accolades that you just mentioned, that is what has put me on the map. So the short version of what I did is I started farming my primary farm area in my 4th month in the business, and I still am dominant in that farm, maintaining about a 60 to 65% market share, which, you know, around 15%, you're usually considered a dominant, and I exceeded 18% my very first full year in business against 2 dominant agents that had been in that community for more than 10 years each. So you can be brand new. You can not have anything figured out except be very specific on what goal you're trying to accomplish and follow it and execute it without fail. So I was brand new. And I went from that first farm to hitting MREA for the first time with the not recreating the wheel with the concepts in the book. It took 2 years and 2 months to do that. And I've been at that level for the last 5 years. So how did I do it? And feel free to jump in if you have questions, but I have really compiled a very like everything else, simple but not easy. It's the consistency that is the key. That part of us that you have to dig deep and have blind faith in your own ability to see the goal through, to understand that farming is not Instacart. You're not going to send 1 postcard or 2 and be the dominant in the neighborhood. Consistency over time, like any other business path, whether it's cold calling or door knocking, buying internet leads, it doesn't matter how your agents are building their businesses. If they do it once, that's not enough. You have to keep doing it. And for some reason, there's a disconnect with neighborhood farming, where someone will send 1 or 2 postcards, and since if they're not dominant already, they have the I've tried that and it's not working sort of mentality. But none of the paths of business work if you only do it 1 or 2 times.
Right.
So complete commitment to the craft. And I have been teaching this material for 6 or 7 years. Like I could literally walk you through this in my sleep at this point. But it is a 7-step program that I followed to build it out. The critical component is deciding to do it and resisting the urge that we all have to chase squirrels and try something else and something else and something else, looking for that fast success. The fastest success is found in consistency. So I chose this one and I put my foot on the gas and I haven't taken it off. So before I dig in to what are those 7 steps, Is there any questions you have about that? Do you
Yeah.
want more of the story or the steps?
I
to
do, because
solve?
I think it's an important element, Susan, to how you started this was what you were doing before real estate. How you
No,
made, right, how you were able to dominate your neighborhood, your area, because of what you were set up with in your previous career. How did that help you?
so I spent, like many of us, real estate was a second career for me. I spent roughly 20 years in corporate America as a homeowner's insurance adjuster. So I did large loss and contracts, and I was in a litigation unit preparing files that were going to be tried with our attorneys. So that skill set, it was all homeowners claims, so it was a very transferable skill set. It even the licensing requirements and tests felt very similar as well. But I stepped from that role, left 20 years corporate career into real estate, and I had never had a sales job in my entire life. And I think that was a key factor for success. I had built the mental muscle of service first over sales. So it was never driven by profits or a chase for cash or commissions. I was just innately programmed to provide a high level of service. And I did it for such a long time in a high level of stress type of industry. Because when you are, I was in a large loss unit. So if you saw me, something pretty terrible happened to you. Your home caught on fire and burned just about to the ground if I was the one called. Floods, anything you saw on the news, catastrophe related, very emotional, very high stress, very uncertainty with people. So I had developed a very innate ability to connect with people. And if you can connect with people at that level, when their life is upside down and diffuse the situation, real estate was an easy transition for me because the stakes are not that high. The level of stress does not match what I dealt with people. So just that connectivity, that old adage that people want to know you care first.
Yep.
Like your skills are clearly important, but connecting with them on a very human level is the driver. And I think that was the gift of my previous occupation, to really understand that at a granular level. And I brought that to real estate and started my first full year in the business as a brand new agent. I had 18% market share from this farming system. That was only eight months in the making when that happened.
Wow. Okay.
So-
Well, then let's jump into that. What did you create? What system?
Yeah, so it's I literally call it how to become the mayor of your farm area. I'll address for your larger teams or groups. This has been beta tested with other people. Whether you're a solo agent wanting to build a big business, or if you're a team or group that has all the other resources to really expand on it, it works just the same. Like any good system, it is scalable. The biggest problem I've ever had is it works so well that I didn't have the bandwidth, the staff, or the agents to handle the volume of lead that came in from them. And I would drop farms and not continue until I made the decision to become a team at the end of 23, with 2024 being the first year. So now that problem is being solved, but that truly was the biggest problem, is that I couldn't handle it. And the great part about that is it is not couldn't handle it over quantity. Once you learn how and what to send, it is a high quality lead, not volume. So I'm very much attracted to quality over quantity. I would rather have 10 solid leads to pursue in pipeline than have hundreds to pursue in pipeline. And that may be counterintuitive for a lot of models, but once you connect with that it is not a one size fits all, customized to the neighborhood. I don't send the same exact pieces to different price points. And the message, what is the emotion that I'm trying to elicit from the card? I do not do just listed under contracts. Those do not connect with people the same way as the fundamental balance of what message do I want them to feel when they read this card.
Can I
and
jump in
it is
real
very-
quick, Susan, on that one? Because I think this is a really important piece. The research you did to determine what grabs attention is fascinating to me.
Yes. Yes. So how I started on that, and there was details on this in the podcast that released on June 2nd of this year. But I started as a brand new agent for 4 months. I started paying attention to what postcards hit my mailbox that I read or kept, regardless of whether I needed the service. Because you have milliseconds from your mailbox to the recycle bin or your trash for someone to look at and keep your material or end up straight in the garbage. So I kept everything that caught my eye. Even if I didn't need a plumber or a new landscaper, why did I look at their card and these didn't get my attention at all? And I compiled it. And I started seeing a very clear pattern of what caught my eye. It was big postcards, very colorful, extremely high quality, which run $1 to $1.50 each compared to 75 cents to $1. So it is more costs, but it is not an unscalable cost for the return. Like my primary farm, I get between 40 and 46x on what I spend versus what I receive. So very, very high profitability with minimal effort. I think is the greatest business platform for real estate. Like, what else can you say? One single quality piece per month to turn a 7-figure income in 2 years. Not videos and cold calling and door knocking, those things filtered in, of course, but the foundation is a quality piece, and that's not going to be a turnover template generic for all agents everywhere. You need to understand your market, who your target avatar is, what are they sending, what are they talking about, and what information on that postcard is going to garner their attention. So it's the simplicity of neighborhood farming, but with a message, and I'm really eliciting an emotion behind it. So I'll dig into what the steps are and tell you. So the beginning of it, and this is from the very first year that I was in business. Everything I'm about to share has not been tweaked very much. This is the foundation when I was brand new, figuring this all out, all the way to what I'm doing now. It just is done at a higher level, and the consistency is key. I always say when people reach out to me for this, if you're unwilling to farm a neighborhood or an area for at a minimum of 9 months, preferably for a year, don't do it at all. It is a waste of time and money if you don't do it consistently. Once a month is the best rhythm for it, and no more than 6 weeks. If you need to stretch your budget a little further, any frequency less than that, I do feel like your return is not going to be there and you're not going to be happy with the result. But the key foundation is database organization is where everything started. You have to have a funneling system of how to keep track of people. And that's hard for new agents when you don't have systems in place. So the number one place is own your CRM organization before your client load is too much for you to control efficiently. So I have a simple lettering system. It goes A+ through G. that I expounded on in detail again, if you're interested in the podcast piece or follow up with me. Because that is key to how things are sent and followed through. So then we jump into, because that is like the beginning place. If you're going to start accumulating leads, what are you going to do with them? And how are you following up with them after they've raised their hand, after they've opened your link or hit a QR code that you put on it? How are you systematically going to touch them after that? So even though that is not a step of the 7 steps, it is truly the first step. You have to be ready to receive and organize. And I've used all the different softwares. I went back to Command about 4 years ago. And for this type of business model, it works perfectly fine for me. So the steps, the first one is what we just talked about. Know what your marketing and branding looks like. What caught your eye on those postcards and marketing and materials that are sent to you? Why'd you keep some? Why did you glance at some for a millisecond? Why did you keep it instead of throw it away, regardless of whether you needed that service? That is what your marketing needs to look like. Your brand will form from that, because something will formulate the connectivity of, you'll lay them all out and you'll start seeing some common elements that really caught your eye, and that became my brand. For me, I have a very dominant red stripe on the left side of my postcards. There's always some kind of call to action, call me for an analysis, you're invited, that kind of stuff for neighborhood only open house previews before the public one starts. Like a you're invited is way better than a just listed. It's a neighborhood only preview, 30 minutes to an hour before the real open house starts. So those neighbors that come through your open house for the public one are their job interviews that you're on that you don't even know about yet. And it took me about 18 months to figure that one out. So I funnel them through earlier when time permits. On quicker listings, that doesn't happen. But if we have an advance notice and we're 2, 3, 4 weeks out, we do try to organize that and get it, because they do come through, and that is your next listings. That is your fastest path to the next listing in there, those people that come to that. Those people are also frequently your dog walkers, your chatty Cathys, as we call it, the mayor of their neighborhood that knows everybody and everything going on. You know the ones, they attend every open house, regardless if they're looking to move or not. Those people become your advocates in those neighborhoods, and they refer you business even if you haven't met them. So to build your brand is the first main step. And in tandem with that, you need to be prepared for the success that's going to come. You need a vetted vendor list. So that's your painters, your electricians, your handyman, your full-blown bathroom renovation. So you should start talking to people you already know in the area and have all of that ready. Become the easy button for the people in the farm and have it immediately available. A key thing is I don't just give it away. I don't send them the vetted lists, because then you lose the opportunity to communicate with those leads, because they'll just pull what they need from your list. So that is truly, I think, what set me apart from the beginning. I was the solutions for all their problems. No matter who they needed, I already had a vendor in place. That was intuitive to me. Anybody looking to sell a home has repairs to make, renovations, updates. So make a relationship with everybody in every trade that you personally have used, or have neighbors or friends in your general area that have used people, so that you can refer with confidence. So that is step 1. Step 2 is I had a very specific formula that I've sat with probably 200, 250 agents with, and all different price points and all different sizes of farms, and this reigns true. It is not a random process. It is a researched process on how do I pick a farm. And I have a very specific formula that we definitely do not have time to go through in this allotted segment in your meeting. But it is the key to your return on investment being obvious to you. And I will tell you, if you nail this formula, your fear and your uncertainty of what you're going to spend versus what you're going to get goes away. And I do mean goes away. It is so obvious that you're going to win in the farm areas that I choose that you do not do that monthly mailer with the same fear and uncertainty than without that method. The third step is the actual print collateral that you're going to be sending. I stay away from the just listed, the under contracts. I don't ever send portfolio cover sheets of all the houses that I've sold that are not in their neighborhood, because you want to be hyper local. Even if you're broadcasting to a larger area, what you send to each neighborhood needs to matter for that neighborhood to those people specifically. So your template is the same, but you change the language just enough where it feels more personal to the audience you're trying to capture. And it changes. In the beginning, it is market analysis, which is done, not market analysis, the general actives, under contract, solds, days on market, list price to sale price, nothing proprietary there. That is how you always engage first. You want to be top of mind for market data. And as soon as you train them that you're the agent sending that regular as rain every quarter, your credibility in that farm increases. On the in-between pieces, until I have my own sales to put on postcards in there, they're more Mofer style, more attention getting, more conversational, more solicitation style. And then once we have our first signs in the ground, which usually happens about 4 to 5 months in, once that happens, then the style of marketing changes, because now we're in it. Now we are actually advertising business that we're doing in the farm. The step 4 is the mastering of that open house. That is a little bit that I've touched on with the neighborhood only previews. They are extremely effective in the beginnings, especially when you're building that credibility to have that happen faster. The compilation of those people, it's much easier when they raise their hand to come forward and maximize that time with them instead of them being in the hopper with all of the public open house people. Step 5 is, how do you follow up on them? That is where your CRM comes into play. And I have my pipeline. I'm in year 10 in the business, year 8 with KW. The first couple of years I was with a very small brokerage here and did not have a fraction of resources that I have now. So things really springboarded when I moved here. But my pipeline has always been built out to 5 years. That's the 5-year people example would be, my youngest is graduating high school or college in 2029 or, 2030, and we're going to be looking to buy or sell at that time. Well, or they're retiring at that time. Those dates are fixed and they rarely change. So they will be put in pipeline for a nurture, all the way down to the people who are ready right now or ready in the next quarter. So they go on a smart plan. The farther out people, the 5-year people, there'll be an annual call. If they're in a 2 to 3 year mark, there will be a biannual call. Once they're in a 1 to 2 year mark, the target would be a quarterly call. And then, of course, if they're in the 6 month or less, they will be a monthly or a weekly, whatever the situation is. If you're engaged with renovations and your contractors in their house and all of that, the contractor list is what gets you in the house early to communicate the best time, even if you're listing 3 years from now, 5 years from now, so that you don't have an avalanche of prep to do when you're ready. Know what you need to do now and start knocking out these projects and understand what kind of budget you need to do them. That is what gets you in the door now. That contractor list is the golden ticket. So that's the lead nurture on how often, so that no one falls through the cracks. And if they're in a repetitive SMART plan, they will not. The step 6 is the layering of events and sponsorships. And that is the piece where you just have to trust what I'm saying. If you go too hard, too fast right out of the gate before you have any credibility in the farm, you can spend a lot of time and a lot of money and not get traction. To have events or sponsor things in communities. But once I have a presence in one, I would say on average, you're going to need about a year or 2 before I would really start approaching and having to do things, depending on how fast that farm built. But like I'll give you an example. In the last 5 years, I've had 5 different farming neighborhoods introduced, and all of them followed the same rhythm. 4 to 5 months in, first listings, and then the next full year, the dominant agent in it. In all cases except one. And I honestly can't tell you why that one farm flopped and all the others succeeded, but it did. So that's, pretty compelling 80% success rate on that. To be present in the farm, the more often you can handshake and get belly to belly with people. If it is a very social, like a swim tennis community, obviously that's a lot easier to break into that. Sponsoring events, that sort of thing. If you just come in and start paying for things, you just become an ATM for a neighborhood, and it takes longer for that to happen. The order of that, I have found, is quite important. So the final step is the follow-up. That is after the farming worked, after you've had signs in the yard, you've done your job and spun off open houses and buyers that come from that, turning that one listing into 2 or 3 additional pieces of business. How they roll into what, we commonly call our 36 touch program is key. So of that business that we described, which I did the last 3 years in a row, right between 36 and 40 million as a solo agent. The follow-up plan is where the other almost 60% of business comes from. So 30% of it is signs in the ground where the farm is. So that is actually for sale signs in it. But the fortune is in the follow-up after it, following those buyers that you helped purchase in other places. Keep in touch with them so that they come to your team events, or that if you're just starting out, I would do pop-bys to them. And then, of course, that becomes unscalable as you grow and they have to come to you. So it turned into client events. But that 60% is where the fortune happens, because you're creating your fans for life, your loyal fans, legacy clients, if you will. And that becomes, for me, it started 18 months in the door, where I was overwhelmingly an inbound referral agent and not outbound, outside of the farming. And that has continued to this day. July is my 10th year in business, where it is a consistent 88 to about 94% of all the leads come inbound to me following up 33 touch and a once a month farming. And then that farming finally transfers over to reaching out to the past clients in it. So sphere farming or neighborhood farming, it's basically the same thing, the consistency of touch. So that's start to finish of the program. And the takeaway before I cut off and answer any questions is the key is, for whatever reason in this industry, I have found an absolute epidemic of everyone wants to overcomplicate everything. Simplicity gets done. Simple gets done. That is the number one litmus test when we're rolling something out. Is it simple? Is it scalable? Is it executable? Can we get it on an autopilot, or let's not do it? So don't overcomplicate it. And if you want more details about this, I definitely am open to, I kind of call it a team meeting in a box at your individual market centers to cover this with slides in more detail with some examples. That truly takes a minimum of an hour and an hour 15 to answer questions and all of that. To really show this to you, it just needs more allotted time than we have.
Okay.
And then final piece is questions that you have for me, comments, anything of that nature.
Yes, we have a question for you in Cincinnati, Susan.
The microphone should work.
Okay.
Part of it, so like when we're trying to pay mailers, 6 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, are you using real mailers?
I can't hear it.
Yeah, you have to come up here.
So
Are you using real mailers in Command to send those postcards?
So we do spin off some templates from Command and Canva, of course, which is now integrated. But overwhelmingly now, from the last 7 years for sure, it's more custom where I'll use it as an inspiration to a piece and do it. We have the benefit now, I use just a local printer for about 6 years, and then about 2 or 3 years ago, a very enterprising agent in our market center opened a print shop in our market center. So we can print in-house anything from concept to mail, can be a day, day and a half, 2 days. Very,
Nice.
very quick turnaround. So you do need a great printer, and I highly recommend a local one that can kind of get your vibe than just a mass mailer. Mass mailers, when I save them side by side, unless you're very careful and have seen their work, the quality looks a little janky. Words are cut off. It doesn't look like a wow factor. So I'd be careful with mass mailing companies like that.
Do you use Everydoor Direct, something like that, to send them?
Yes. So the print shops, the one that I used that was not affiliated with our market center, and the one that I use now does all of that turnkey. So that falls into the keep it simple. I just have to tell the neighborhood and they handle everything. So I'm not involved in that part at all. We just tell them who to send it to and they figure all that out. They pull the list and get them in the mail completely.
Got a question in, excuse me, got a question in Louisville, Kentucky, Susan. First off, thank you so much for sharing all of this. We really appreciate your time. And just want to make sure we get that out. What is the turnover rate that you're looking for? Is there a range in that neighborhood? Is there something that catches your eye? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so that is a part of that formula, but the simple part to answer that question is I'm looking for a neighborhood or a farm area, because not every area has neighborhoods that are this large. So you can compile an elementary area, you make a farm, but the sweet spot falls between 350 to 500 homes in one farm area for the numbers to absolutely work every time. And I'm looking for, like, if there's 500 homes in it, at a minimum, they're going to have 20 to 25 homes selling per year, on the high end 35 to 40. So that's the turnover rate that works incredibly well, where the math always works for you to break into it and get everything you spent out of it and then some. You just need one house to sell and you recoup everything. So if you're doing a quality campaign over 9 months to a year and you're not getting at least one sale, the problem is the campaign was not quality, or what you were sending didn't look like quality. The math always works.
Thank you.
Susan, what's the size of your typical farm?
That 350 to 500 is my favorite. Because the margin for profit is just very high, and they have enough consistent turnover where I know the numbers will work. The numbers always work if there's that many selling in a year. And that transforms price point as well. But I have multiple examples, templates of things that we've used, of the just breaking out into it, the more generic pieces versus the customized versus the ones we're in it, because it is not a one size fits all. There's like a migration of what is sent as we are brand new, never sold a thing in it, versus now we're a dominant. What are we sending now?
Okay, I've got a couple questions coming at me.
Mm-hmm.
So do they have your templates and they just plug in month to month to month and just use that? I mean, how does the print, how do they know when to send them and what they're sending?
So we run the calendar of what we need sent out when. And we have a springboard now, since I've been doing this for so many years. We have templated examples that are inspiration pieces. So there are some that are sent very consistent with not a tremendous amount of change. But overwhelmingly, if you want to stand out, you're going to need somebody designing them to make your pieces stand out. If it is a ready button, so generic that it works for broad markets, it's not going to be eye-catching enough for you to stand out. That's just been my experience. When I look at what's available in templates, it is not specific enough to do it at this level.
We have agents asking for examples of what you've used.
That is in the follow-up, and I'll do a little plug here. When I do these, I always get the follow-up one-on-ones, and I want to do a Zoom with you, and I'm going to just be candid. The calendar just will not allow that anymore. So I am in final talks with MAPS. We are targeting a mega camp rollout of everything that I just shared with you in step-by-step detail with example, all the templates, all the things, which will happen. It's just, are we going to make the mega camp? So that's where that happens. Because just the one-on-ones are just too much. I'm going to just be candid with calendar and do it that way.
Is that a group coaching program you're putting together, Susan?
It's going to be fast tracked.
Okay, cool.
And it spawned from the podcast. It wasn't even in the air until the podcast hit, and the response to it and the requests from market centers, ALCs, agents wanting one-on-one. It became very apparent that the one-on-one is just not possible. So I was having to turn away more than do. So it'd just be a little more structured and a little more organized.
That's
And
all.
give the details people want, because one Zoom call is not going to take you from 0 to 100 over one Zoom. So this gives what people wanted from me anyway, in a detailed 8-week class.
So we will keep our eye out for that, you guys. And
we
as soon
will.
as Maps releases it or it's announced as it starts to roll
Yeah.
out, get that out to all of the offices. So,
Yeah, and since it's fast track, you don't have to be a MAPS coaching client to get it, which was important to me, that it would be open to anybody who wanted it.
very good.
So I do offer, if anybody doesn't want that, it's, the team meeting in a box type of thing. And then a Zoom session where I would teach it, the normal 60 to 90 minutes. And then, of course, the people that want all the things will be through Maps now to help kind of control that.
So good. Well, we really, really, really appreciate you being here, Susan, and giving so much of your time today. You guys, up on the screen is the actual podcast from June where Susan was interviewed. And so if you haven't gotten an opportunity to listen to this, please scan the QR code and go deep dive a little bit more on what she's doing. And we're just so grateful that you could be here. And yeah, we're gonna wrap up, guys. We have a few last slides and we want to make sure we get you out of here on time. Everybody give Susan a round of applause for her time.
Thank you.
Susan
Thank
is in
you.
Atlanta. I'm sure she would love to entertain some referrals. If you guys have anybody moving to the ATL area, keep her in mind. And
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you
Yes,
so much.
absolutely.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
guys.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, we are going to work real hard to get you out of here on time. We have 3 minutes, and I hope you got a lot of value from that. I am so excited that Maps is moving that into Fast Track as a potential. That'll probably be like a 6-week course. You can go get good value from her on all the steps of this. So we'll keep our eye out and be ready to share that. I gave you all the QR code for her session, and yet I know many of you listen to this every time a new episode comes out, but the Millionaire Real Estate Agent podcast has so many amazing stories and people that are winning in their business, and yet you'll see there in the top right, Gary interviewed Mel Robbins. So we've got some other fun featured people as well. So don't be afraid to dive in there and listen to that as you're driving around showing properties. Okay, real quick, I wanted to share this with you guys. We've got a couple more slides, but this came out yesterday in the leadership newsletter, and it's just a graphic that shows old world industries that builds billionaires. And if you guys look there, we've got manufacturing, real estate, healthcare, fashion and retail, finance and investments, technology, and then there's a segment that's just diversified. But these are the global industries that have created the highest number of billionaires really in the last 10 years. And the aha was that real estate creates a lot of billionaires and provides an unlimited opportunity for people that are motivated. So if you think back to how we started the meeting, Gary talked about resilience and determination and motivation. And so the 4 best financial opportunities in real estate, and I would write this down if you're taking notes. These are kind of in order. So number 1, build a career helping people buy and sell real estate. That's what every single one of you in the room are here doing. Number 2 is turn your sales career into a real estate business. And that's where we start to bring in additional leverage and systems so that we can ideally make money from the business and not do every single job, right? Number 3 is use the money that you're making in 1 and 2 to invest in real estate that goes up in value and throws off positive cash flow. So that's a way, that's wealth building. So you're using the industry you work in with the business that you own to invest in to create positive cash flow. And number 4 is your success in 1 through 3 can generate enough cash flow to invest in the other 7 industry categories. So what if you took the money from your real estate business and invested it in the other areas that are wealth determiners? So wanted to share this. It'll be in the slides. But I also wanted to share with you guys, we've been working really hard on vision and our vision for these 4 offices. And our vision is to build and empower 100 millionaires through the real estate opportunity. And so if that's something that like lights you up and you're on fire about, you can email me, you can reach out to your team leader, but we've got some things coming up and you guys have probably seen this. Leadership Academy and MREA Masters, the applications for this are going to be going out in the next couple of weeks. The Leadership Academy is for anyone interested in growing as a leader, unlimiting any limitless thinking and stepping into all that's possible for their life. It's going to be a 12 monthly sessions focused on growing and developing you as a leader. We're going to do some NLP training, leadership training focus, and wealth focus. And the opportunity is for you to level you up with starting with yourself and then the impact that you want to have with your lifetime in the world around you. So that's Leadership Academy. MREA Masters is also going to be rolling out. That's for anyone interested in growing an MREA business following our best practice models. So we're going to have 12 monthly sessions focused on the MREA models, systems, and growth. We're going to do monthly reading on leadership, business development, and wealth building. This will be heavy MREA training. We're going to be attending Mega Camp, family reunion together. And the opportunity is to level you up and then build a millionaire real estate agent business using the proven models of the MREA. So 2 programs are coming. The MREA Masters is going to have some production limits. I think it'll be 30 transactions or more to qualify and some other specifics there. The Leadership Academy, it's not going to have the production qualifications. So we want to open that up to really anyone that wants to commit to a year of deep diving and personal growth. So I wanted to share that. You guys be on the lookout. That stuff will be rolling out to you in the next couple of weeks to apply. If you're interested, you can text me, you can email me, and I'll get you information. Bo, this is our last slide. So anything you want to say real quick about Bold launching in September for all of our offices?
Yeah, start now making preparations to be there. Guys, Bold continues to be the number 1 catalyst for agents to get into production, stay in production, or simply boost their production over a relatively short window. Onward Bold has been received extremely well. We're actually setting some records with regards to registrations, and we're still our average new business transactions in 6 weeks. We used to be 7 weeks. Now we're 6 weeks, and we're still averaging right at about 11.3 new pieces of business per attendee. So make arrangements, get in there. We're going to be bringing it, and it's exactly what you need to outrun, maybe the seasonality or finish strong, or just absolutely load up your 2026. So we'll be done. The September launch will be done before Thanksgiving. So that's exciting.
Yep. Yeah. So that's coming. And you guys, as you're having closings and you want to hold back a little bit in the month of August and September, just let your MCA know. We can hold back a portion of your upcoming closings and apply that towards your Bold ticket. So, all right. And last thing, next week, our team meeting time is going back an hour to 11 a.m. You guys have given really great feedback. You want to start a little later so you can use that 9 to 11 time for lead generation. We will absolutely support you in that. And so starting next week, your local office will be running an 11 a.m. sales meeting. That's all we've got, guys. I hope you guys got tremendous value. Kristen Brockett, thank you for helping secure our guest speaker.
Pleasure.
You did an amazing job and we really appreciate that. If you guys have anybody else you think is incredible and would be a great all office guest speaker, just email me or text me and I'll do my darndest to get them in front of everybody here. So
Thank you.
thank you guys.
All right, thank you.
Bye.